How are you currently employed with the Sheriff's Office?
I work as a dog handler, not a canine unit.
And how long have you been a canine unit?
Since 2005.
And do you have to have any kind of specialized training to be a canine officer?
Yes, we usually start off with each time you get a new dog, you go back to basic handler school, because we're also training the dog at the same time. It's about 208 hours, I believe, is the basic school, which I've done twice. This is my second dog, the one I currently work.
Okay, and what is your partner's name?
Boz.
Boz, and what type of dog is Boz?
He's a Belgian Malinois. What do you mean as far as what breed or what type?
Right, what
breed? Belgian Malinois.
Okay, and how long have you been working with Boz?
Boz and I have been paired together since 2006.
Okay, and how old is Boz?
He will be 8 in April.
How many hours of training have you had with Boz?
Look at my notes real quick. I've had, as far as formalized training with certificates and hours, we're looking at, I've had over 652 hours, 444 hours of that have been with Canine Boz, my current partner.
And if you would, explain to the jury how Boz operates or how you communicate with Boz.
He's a what we call a dual-purpose dog. He does detection work as well as patrol work and tracking. His detection odor is, he's a narcotics detection dog, which is what we use him for when we're deploying for detection. He does do patrol work, which is everything from apprehension to building clearing, area searches for people, vehicle extractions, as well as regular apprehension and handler protection work. He's a tracking dog, but we have him trained for article searches, meaning he's looking for something with human odor on it, which is what I used him for on this particular night.
Okay. And were you working with Boz on January 31st, 2011?
Correct, I was.
And did you respond with Boz to 1159 Miles Road?
I did.
And when you initially arrived at that location, do you recall what time that would have been?
I believe it was, I think the call went out at 4:12. Is that right, or 4:16? Let me look. 16:12, 4:12 in the afternoon. My arrival time was 16:32, so it took me about 20 minutes to get there. For those not familiar with where this incident occurred, this is out there on the county line near McDuffie County, and I usually spend most of my time in the eastern side of the county, so it took me a little while to get out there.
Okay. And initially, when you respond to this location, what is the purpose of bringing or calling for a canine unit specifically for you to come?
I went en route anyway. The way the call was put out, there was some suspects that it sounded like a home invasion. The way dispatch put it out with a shooting, somebody was shot and the suspects fled. We try to keep our ears open. Anything that we think a dog may be used on, we try to go ahead and go en route. It's easier for them to tell us once we get there, we don't need you. Then if we don't go, hey, we need you out here now. So that's our purpose as to why we went. When I arrived, down the street from where this incident location occurred, we had at the time a canine handler who was actually off duty, but he heard the call go out after seeing all the cars going down there, and he was actually already on scene, suited up and ready to go with his dog.
And what did you do after you arrived at that point?
Sergeant Baxley, with his dog, Canine Rex, he was ready to go on the track. At the time, my role then goes from being a canine handler to a support for him. Mostly I'm going to be his cover officer. I'm going to be his gun, his eyes. We're now looking for suspects that are involved in a shooting and have fled into the woods. So my job is to make sure the whole team, my cover area of responsibility to cover the whole team with my rifle, that was my main purpose then. After we ran a track for a while, Sergeant Baxley advised me that his dog had lost track and the track did not make sense. So therefore I said, well, let me go back and use my dog to see if maybe any evidence was dropped in the area. So based on what Sergeant Baxley had explained to me with his dog, he told me the areas to check, which was about maybe 2-3 acre area of woods that I checked with Boz looking for any articles or evidence that had been dropped. At the time, he did not throw any indication that he was in odor of anything, and he did not indicate or alert on any objects on that search.
And what is a track? When you refer to that, what are you specifically
the track,
referring to?
the dog's looking for the actual, pretty much the path the person went. He's looking for the suspect's foot trail, for lack of a better term, as well as human odor that comes off. With the area search, article search, he's looking for an actual article. So he's not trying to follow something from point A to point B. He's scanning a larger area, trying to hit the scent cone of the object that he's looking for, which will vary based on wind speed, temperature, humidity, other environmental factors. When he hits that scent cone, we'll say, he'll work it to the source of it, at which point he'll lay down next to the object, and given as hyper as my dog is, he'll start barking like crazy because he wants his toy.
And how long would you say that you and Boz, along with Sergeant Baxley and K9 Rex, were attempting to track these unknown individuals in the woods?
You mean as far as K9, the track he did with Sergeant Baxley did with his dog?
Right, and in addition with Boz as well.
Well, I was it probably took me a good 40, 45 minutes, maybe to an hour to clear the whole area to where I felt it was cleared sufficiently. Now that's again with the area search, article search with my dog. You're talking about the first search, correct? Right. Okay. As far as the track, I can't recall exactly how long we were on the ground with that.
But would it be safe to say that you were actively pursuing these subjects at the time that you believed could have been involved in the invasion?
Correct, we were.
Okay. And at some point, do you leave that location?
I do. I left the location, and several hours later, I was sitting at the gas station with one of my supervisors, and his phone rang, and he was speaking with one of the investigators who had explained that the defendant suspect had given them a more generalized area that we needed to check for the gun. It was not an area that I had checked to begin with, because I was going based on what the other handler was telling me. So I went up there to try and give it another try in that particular area. That was at about, check the time on it. I arrived to do that article search or area search at 23:21.
And what time is that in layman's terms?
It's 11:21 in the evening.
Okay. And at that point, or explain to the jury, what do you do with Boz when you initially are about to start a search? Is he on a leash? Is he off a leash?
I can run him either on lead or off lead. In a heavily wooded area like that, I prefer to work him off lead, because with all the trees, it just turns into a nightmare me trying to hold on to the lead. If any of y'all have had a dog and you get in the woods and they get to moving around. Plus, I find that it doesn't hinder him at all being attached to the lead. So what I'll do is I'll put him in the sit, and I'll give him the command for the article search, and then he will shoot out and work the area. I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead. Approximately, it was 23:35, about 14 minutes later, he showed a change of behavior where pretty much it's like as soon as he gets an odor, if you picture a dog moving pretty fast, and then it's like the head stops but the body doesn't, and he just throws a change. And now he's in odor. He worked it, laid down on the forest floor, and began barking like he normally does. I looked at the ground. I didn't see anything, but I could tell he was in odor. So I looked a little bit better with my flashlight, and I could see just part of a handgun barrel, which was buried underneath a bunch of leaves on the forest floor, to which I rewarded him, notified CID.
Okay, and how do you reward him?
Well, I could reward him several ways. Either sometimes I'll reward him verbal praise, or physical praise, but also I'll reward him with a toy too sometimes. Okay. Which I did that day.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes, ma'am.
Deputy, I'm going to show you what's been previously admitted as State's Exhibit 180 and ask you if you recognize that depiction.
Yes.
And what is that?
That is to barely see the handle of the firearm that Boz located.
Okay, thank you. And may I publish this to the jury?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you see it on your screen up there?
Yes.
Where is the firearm?
It's kind of blurry, though.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what were you asking me?
Where, can you tell me generally where the firearm is?
I don't know if it's this screen. It's hard to tell.
Okay, that's fine.
I had to look at it several
I have
times
another
that
picture
night
for you.
before I actually saw what he was indicating on.
Yeah, I mean, I published 181 previously amended. Just a closer picture. May not be able to.
Referring to right here. Oh, okay. Right here by the stick. Actually, right. Touchscreen.
Okay.
There we go.
And did you have to? Well, were you present when the firearm was removed?
No, I went ahead and pulled my dog out of there.
Okay.
Gave him a reward.
How far underneath the brush was the firearm located?
I didn't pull it out, but it was buried pretty. I mean, it didn't look like it was thrown. If that's what you're asking, it looked like somebody actually had to place it covered up.
Okay.
There's no way somebody just tossed that.
Okay. Thank you. Your Honor, I have no further questions of this witness. Ms. Docker might have some for you.
Ms. Docker?
No questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Thank you. You can step down.
Thank you.
Sorry.
My name is Dennis V. Miller, spelled D-E-N-N-I-S. V is in Victor, Miller, M-I-L-L-E-R. I'm employed at the Georgia Bureau of Investigation at the State Crime Lab in Decatur, Georgia.
Thank you, sir. Please answer counsel's questions. Madam DA?
Thank you. Mr. Miller, what specifically do you do at the GBI?
I'm a firearms examiner.
And as part of your regular duties, what do you do on a regular basis?
I'm routinely called upon to determine whether a particular cartridge case or bullet was fired from a particular gun, or whether a particular gun could have fired a particular cartridge case or bullet. I also do serial number restoration on guns, and I do muzzle to target distance determinations.
Okay. And have you had any specialized training with respect to firearms?
Yes, I have.
And what type of training have you had?
I've trained for 2 years at the GBI. I took 4 armorers courses where I go to the manufacturer and learn how to take apart the guns, clean the guns, work with the guns. I toured 9 firearms plants throughout the country to see how firearms are made and how the process, the manufacturing process, how that exactly impacts what I do in firearms. At the GBI itself, I had training with the technical leader in firearms in both microscopic comparisons, ammunitions examination, and weapons examination. I've examined probably over 200 guns and have compared over 1,000 cartridge cases and bullets. Our training was divided into different training blocks, and the completion of each block was a written test and/or a lab practical, and we had practical exams on all the different phases, which I passed all the exams.
And have you ever been qualified before as an expert in firearms comparison?
Yes, I have.
And Your Honor, at this time, the state would seek to admit Mr. Miller's testimony as that of an expert in firearms comparison.
Thank you, Ms. Jonkar. Voir dire?
No voir dire, no objection, Your Honor.
Thank you. You might so testify.
When you talk about cartridge casings, what are you referring to?
May I refer to a prop I brought with me?
Your Honor, is that okay if he refers to the model?
Yes.
Sometimes there's confusion over what is meant by the different components of firearms. This is what is commonly referred to as a cartridge versus a cartridge case. The cartridge has all the components of the ammunition. Has a cartridge case itself, has the primer area down below here, which has to do with the ignition of the projectile. This is filled with powder. Powder goes in there, and the bullet goes in the top. So this is a single unit of ammunition. This is just referred to as a cartridge case, and this is just a bullet or a projectile.
And did you have the occasion to become involved or do any firearms comparison in the case of where the victim is Alana Callahan and the subject was Lacey Aaron Schmidt?
Yes, I did.
And what was your involvement in that?
My involvement was determining, provided the evidence I was given, the one cartridge case and one projectile to determine, and also a gun, to determine if those items were fired in or from that particular firearm.
Okay. And were you able to make that determination?
Yes, I was.
And what was your determination?
Determination was that the cartridge case submitted and the bullet were both fired in the submitted firearm that I was provided with.
Okay. Thank you. Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes, ma'am.
Showing you what's been previously admitted into evidence as State's Exhibit 224, also 211, 212, and 213. Do you recognize those items?
I can recognize this item, which contains a firearm, because of the GBI barcode and case number, and also the evidence tape that I placed on this myself with my initials and the date that I had sealed this envelope.
And what, if anything, do you do with respect to the actual firearm?
In this particular case, I would have needed to proceed by testing the firearm, test firing the firearm to see if the projectiles and the cartridge case that were involved in that were involved with the evidence that I was submitted.
And were you able to make that determination?
Yes, I was.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness again?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me show you previously marked as State's Exhibit 225, and I just want to ask if you recognize that object.
Yes, I do. These are the three test fires that I put through this particular firearm.
And how do you know that those are your test fires?
Again, this is my writing. This is the case number, and I have my initials and the date I sealed it, so I know that this is mine.
Okay. And Your Honor, at this time we would just seek them at State's Exhibit 225.
Any objection?
No, sir.
225 is admitted.
And with respect to the other items, I believe I gave you marked 211, 212, and 213. What are those items?
Your Honor, may I refer to my notes?
Yes, sir.
Item 12, which is State's Exhibit 211, is a 9mm cartridge case that contains my initials in there. This is the cartridge case that I was provided with and examined.
And were you able to determine what firearm fired that cartridge case?
Yes.
Which firearm?
I need to have that back.
The weapon is unloaded.
Thank you. I can determine that this is the weapon I examined due to my initials that I scribed on the front of the firearm, and also by the serial number, which matches my report.
And what about the other items that you were given 213?
Item 13 is the metal jacketed bullet that I was given to test, and again, I can tell that by the case number and my initials and the seal on this.
And do you know where that projectile was fired from?
That projectile was fired from this gun as well.
Okay. And do you observe the gun, or do you, determine whether or not how the gun is fired in terms of pounds of pressure that would have to be applied to the trigger before it would be able to actually hit the primer with the hammer?
Yes, I did.
And what are the pounds of pressure?
This particular weapon has a trigger pull of 4.5 pounds in the single action mode and 13 pounds in the double action mode.
Right. And if you would, just verify for your own safety and the safety of others that the weapon is secure and demonstrate to the jury what single action is versus what double action is.
Yes, I can physically and see that and visually see that this weapon is unloaded. Single action weapon, the weapon is cocked, the trigger is pulled, and it releases the trigger, releases the hammer to go forward, which hits the firing pin, which fires the gun. All it does is release the trigger. In double action mode, when you pull the trigger, you're doing two things. You're cocking the weapon to prepare for firing and releasing the trigger forward and firing the weapon. This has both a single action and a double action mode to it. Right now, it is cocked by pulling a slide to the rear, the hammers to the rear, and pulling the trigger would fire the weapon.
Your Honor, can you come off this stand just so everyone can see?
Yes, ma'am.
You can.
You can sit down.
So once that slide goes forward and goes back, the hammer is pulled to the rear, and the firing pin mechanism is right there. So by pulling the trigger, the hammer is allowed to go forward and hit the firing pin to fire, like that.
And that's single action or double action?
That's single action because it was already cocked, or you could do it with like this. If there were a bullet in the chamber, just all it does is release the trigger to go forward. And the only way this gun can be done in double action is the gun is cocked like that, just like you would for single, but this has a decocking, what's called a decocker on it right here. And by decocking it, it lowers the hammer to a safe position, which is off a little bit. If you see, it didn't go all the way to where the firing pin is. It holds it a little bit off. So now, when you pull the trigger, it's both going to cock the hammer and fire. That's mainly used for a carrying position where the person wouldn't be ready to use the gun. They could rack it to bring the round up into the chamber. They could decock it, and then they could put it in a holster or whatever, so when they're ready to use the weapon, they could draw the weapon, and with just one motion, pulling the trigger, will both cock and fire. In the single action mode, as I demonstrated, it just releases it. And then the semi-automatic action of the firearm, which is there's a spring in here that when the gun is fired, that spring brings everything forward, brings up a new cartridge, loads it into the chamber, and allows it to be ready for the next shot. So all you're doing is pulling the trigger. You're not really cocking the hammer because the semi-automatic action of the gun has done that for you.
And is the pounds of pressure for double action the same as for single action?
No. The double action in this gun is 13 pounds, and the single action is only 4.5 pounds.
Okay. And what position does the trigger return to after the gun is fired?
If it's in the single action mode, it'll be back and cocked and ready to go again.
Okay. And if it was in double action?
Double action, same thing. This way just returns completely like that to the front like that. It's not ready to fire again. The hammer is not cocked in the same position.
Okay. So if you were to find the gun with the hammer in this position, could you reasonably conclude that the last fire, or I guess the last time that the gun was fired, it was in single action mode?
No, that'd be in double action.
Well, if it's back, I mean, if the hammer
is it back all the way? Yes.
Okay, so it would have been in single action mode.
Yes.
Thank you. You can return to your. What were the dimensions of this weapon?
What particular dimensions?
Length and width.
The barrel length is 4 3/4. The overall length is 8.5, measured from the butt to the barrel.
Okay. And how much does it weigh?
It weighs 2.10 pounds.
Okay. Just for 1 second, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
I have no further questions, Ms. Duncan.
Thank you. Ms. Dunkard?
Thank you. Following up on the question about what happens after the firearm is shot, it would also be possible if it was shot in double action that if you found it later and the hammer had been cocked, the hammer could have just been cocked after it was shot.
When you fire it, it would return to its normal resting
Yes.
position. It would be uncocked.
It would be uncocked immediately after you found it.
Right.
I mean, after it was fired, but then the hammer could have been subsequently cocked.
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Just for clarification, manually, would it, if you had fired the weapon in double action and then cocked the hammer yourself, you would have had to done that yourself. The gun wouldn't have returned to that position, correct?
When the gun fires, it goes to the rear. The slide goes to the rear and prepares it for the next shot, so it would be cocked.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Ms. Dunkard, I think.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Can you step down? Thank you, sir.
Am I released from my subpoena?
Yes, sir, you certainly are.
Thank you.
Any further need of this witness?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Have a safe trip back. Ms. Pittman?
Yes, sir.
Just raise your right hand, please, first before you're seated. Well, that's okay. However you're comfortable, just raise your right hand and take the oath, please. Do you swear that the testimony you shall give in the matter that's now before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, thank you. You need to answer everything out loud so the court reporter can take down what you're saying, okay? Thank you, sir. For the record, please state your full name.
Thomas Stanley Pittman.
Yes, sir, thank you. And you might want to, can you move up a little closer to that microphone? Yes, sir, thank you. And where do you live, sir? And that's where?
In Harlem, Georgia.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Pittman. Please answer the attorney's questions, please. Madam
you.
DA?
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Pittman, how old are you?
15.
And do you know Aaron Schmidt?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you see Aaron Schmidt in the courtroom today?
Yes, ma'am.
What's he, if you could just identify him by one article of clothing?
Striped shirt.
Okay. And how do you know?
Like that the witnesses identified the defendant.
Thank you, Judge. Sorry. How do you know Aaron Schmidt?
It's my cousin.
And prior to January 2011, what was the status of your relationship? I mean, did you see him on a daily basis?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And would you say y'all were friends as well?
Best friends.
Do you know the Callahan family?
Yes, ma'am.
And how do you know the Callahan family?
I met them through Aaron. They bought the property next to ours.
Okay. When you say next to ours, what property are you referring to?
My uncle's 14 acres.
Which uncle?
Lonnie
Lonnie who?
Schumann.
Did you know Alana Callahan?
Yes, ma'am.
And or do you recall where the first time it was that you met Alana?
Over the summer, they was moving into their house.
Okay. And what would you say that the relationship was like between Aaron and the Callahans?
Very close. They was really good friends.
Okay. To your knowledge, would he be over there on a regular basis?
Sometimes.
Do you recall meeting with investigator Jones in relation to the murder of Alana Callahan?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And at that point, do you recall seeing Aaron up into in the days leading up to Alana's murder?
Yes, ma'am.
And how many days prior to her death did you encounter Aaron?
Day before it.
Okay. And what were y'all doing that day?
We was cleaning up my house because we just took our pool down.
Okay. And how far away is your house from his house?
Like 4 miles.
Okay. And what was his demeanor like that day?
Just what?
His behavior, or was he in a good mood? Was he in a
Yeah,
bad
he was
mood?
in a good mood.
Okay. Did the two of you ever have the occasion to do target practice with any type of gun?
Well, when my uncle was around, yes, ma'am.
What type of guns?
Like 22s,
Okay, were all rifles or any handguns?
rifles.
Do you recall mentioning to Investigator Jones anything about who Aaron would blame things on whenever he would get in trouble?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Did you ever tell Investigator Jones that that whenever Aaron would get in trouble, that he always blamed it on a black man dressed in black clothing?
No, ma'am.
Okay, you did not say that?
I don't recall saying it.
You do remember meeting with Investigator Jones at Harlem Middle School
Yes, ma'am.
in February of 2011.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it possible that you said that to him?
It's possible. It might be. It's been so long, and I was nervous, and it was so close. I might have said some things I really didn't mean.
Okay, so you don't recall Aaron never blaming anything on a black man dressed in black clothing? Your Honor, at this time, the state would seek to publish State's Exhibit 6, which would be the recorded interview of Thomas Pittman with Investigator Jones.
All right, Mr. Dunkor.
We don't have an objection, Your Honor.
Thank you. May I proceed? I'm going to move the recording and the evidence.
Yes, Your Honor, if we could, I think I still have some more.
Yes, ma'am.
If I could publish this to the judge.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Today's date is February the 3rd, 2011. It is 12:20 p.m. We're at Harlem Middle School conducting an interview with Mr. Thomas Pittman. This is in reference to a case out on Miles Road in Harlem involving Aaron Schmidt. Present for this interview is myself, Investigator Brian Jones, Investigator Jimmy Edmonds, Principal Carl Shelton at Mom's request for Mr. Pittman and Mr. Pittman. So just before we, I guess the easiest way to do it, just tell me as far as your dealings with Aaron, starting, let's say, Friday last week.
Friday of last week, I went over to stay the night with him, and a boy named Tyler Hyman and David met two other boys. One was a colored boy and one was white, but I couldn't see their faces. They came to our house at 11:30, and they were like, "Come outside," and we were like, "What all out?" They said, "Just come outside real fast, we want to talk." I said, "Okay." Aaron came out and I came out, and they were like, "How much money you got?" I said, "I don't have none." And Aaron said, "He didn't have it." They're like, "Come on, we got a little weed. You want to buy some?" I was like, "Dude, we don't got no money." He said, just prove it. And I pulled out my wallet and I had $0. And he said, "Aaron, you prove it." Aaron pulled out his wallet and he said, "I've got $14. And he's like, "That's all I got, but I got to save this." They're like, "Count it out." Aaron said, "Look, that's all I got." And Tyler Hyman reached in and took off running down the road. Okay, so I went back inside and I was embarrassed to tell my nanny I just got wrong. So I just stayed inside. And I started watching SpongeBob. And then I fell asleep, and the next day I went back down there and I was talking to Punk Mathis, that's David's guardian, week, I'm going to run up to Coach Dave's barbershop here in Harlem, and I'm going to see if he's open to get a haircut, because I really badly need one. So I grabbed my bike, I rode out there, and he was up, so I came back home. My aunt followed me. They just followed me up there and made sure I made it back home safely. And then I came home, and then I started playing Call of Duty Black Ops, and then my mama came home, and she started to cook supper, and that's when we found out that Alana had been injured. And I was like, what had happened? I was like, Mom, what happened to her? She said, they say, at first they thought that she had been attacked by a boar, because they said her clothes were all shredded and stuff, all bloodied up. And then later on that night, we found out it was a shooting. And that's what I just didn't know what to think. I was praying to God it wasn't my cousin. I have some guns out at my nanny's house because I hunt, but I mean they stayed put up, and that just put me in the most god-awful panic. I was like, please Lord, please don't let him have taken one of my guns. And they said it was a handgun. I was like, a handgun? I don't know, a handgun. That's all I remember him doing. I don't remember him mentioning nothing about a gun. I mean, he was picky. He didn't want me in his drawers and stuff like that, but I was like, well, that's your privacy, dude. I'm not going to go through your stuff. I knew he would hide his dip under his pillowcase, but I mean, I'm not going to tell him from dip. But if I would have known he would have a gun, that's serious. I mean, when I took my hunter safety course, they said an unloaded gun is more dangerous than a loaded gun. And a gun is stolen is completely just outrageously dangerous. So I would have told him for a gun. I mean,
So Tyler Herman and Dave Mathis and two other boys, they go on Friday.
yes, sir. They come up there to our house about 11:30 on Friday night.
And Tyler Herman grabbed the money out of Aaron's wallet.
Yes, sir.
What, after that happened, what did Aaron say? What did he say to you?
He told me he was really mad and he wanted to go down and fight, and I said, no, that ain't worth it. It's $14.
Y'all didn't tell your nanny?
No, sir, I was embarrassed. I was sorry, I was embarrassed.
Well, how did she find out about that?
David Mathis came up, she said he came up there Sunday saying that we were down there, and I said, yes ma'am, I was down there. She asked me why, and I told her why.
Said that you were down at his house?
Yeah, I told her, I was like, they took money from us, they took it. She asked why I was, which is proving that we had money. She's like, y'all don't have to prove we have money. And I was like, yes ma'am, I understand.
So when did you and Aaron go to Dave Mathis's house?
That was Saturday, about 12:30 to 1:30. We got ain't nothing out of ordinary, but when Nanny was getting on to him, it's like he just gets so mad. He's just like, don't you get on to me. But I mean, he's always been like that. If he gets in trouble, he just gets mad. You don't get sad that he's in trouble. He gets mad.
So on Friday, what time did you go over your names? Did you go after school?
Rode the bus out there, yes, sir.
So you rode the bus home with Aaron?
No, Aaron, he rides.
That's right. He goes down
High Towns. And I go on the Harlem High Middle bus. And Miss Lowe dropped me off at Grandma's house at 3:15. And from then, we've been doing scrap metal, selling off our junk back in the woods of our house. And that's what we did all afternoon. We pulled out scrap and stuff. We made a pile.
And this was on Friday?
Yes, sir.
When you got to your grandma's house, where was Aaron? Was he at theirs at the house?
Because I'm not allowed to walk over there. Yeah, I think he was there. Because I'm not allowed to walk over to the Callahan's.
Why is that?
Because me and her daughter, their daughter, Alana, we had gotten into it one time on the phone. And I said a curse word, and her parents don't like curse words. Because I was asking, I was like, we tell Aaron to come on over to Nanny's because I just got it. And she was like, why do I have to tell him? And I was like, just do it. And then I said the D word. Her mom got real mad and didn't want to do it. But they loved Aaron. Over the summer, I worked for the Callahan's over there. I would help them pull the brush and stuff to burn off piles. And they would pay me back like right forward.
So you said Friday when you got off the bus and you got to your nannies, Aaron was there?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah, he was sitting in the recliner.
Okay. And then y'all were together the rest Friday?
Rest of the day. Nanny said he ain't even been to the Callahan's Thursday or Friday. And he didn't go over there nothing while I was with him.
Why would he tell me he was over there on Friday? Why would the Callahan's tell me he was over there Friday?
No, he wasn't there when I got there.
Because he told me he was over there on Friday. And the Callahan's also told me he was over there on Friday.
Sitting in there. Yeah, I don't recall having to go over there and get him. You can't call over there because their phones don't work no more. That's why I'm thinking he was there with me Friday.
Friday's not that long ago. You don't remember getting off the bus and doing what you did?
I remember getting off the bus.
Going to the house.
I went to the house. I stayed in the house. Because I went out, had a tour. He was there. He was with me Friday.
say anything that's going to make it any worse than what it already is. Okay, so I don't want you thinking that, I got it,
I'm not.
if you knew he was, if you knew, if he got home and he wasn't there, okay, so he wasn't there. I mean, if you don't remember, that's
He
fine.
was there because I went out and we started picking trash out of the woods, getting ready for our next pile because my friend Hayes comes and buys it from us.
Okay, what time did you go out there and start picking piles of stuff?
That's about 5 o'clock. I was sitting there watching Full House.
Okay, but you got there at 3:15, right?
Yeah.
So from 3:15 to 5, are you positive he was there the whole time? I mean, 3:15 to 5 is, that's an hour and 45 minutes. That's a long time to.
But he was there and he watched Full House with me.
That's about 5. But was he there? I mean, could it be possible that you waited for him? Because his bus gets there before him.
His bus gets at 1:15.
1:15.
I'm pretty sure he was there when I got back, or he was just coming in. That's why I didn't have to go get him. That's why I didn't have to wait. He got there
What time did you say his bus got there?
about 1. He said 1:15, 1:30, something like that. He gets home way earlier than everybody else.
Okay. Okay. Were you over there on Thursday?
No, sir. My parents don't let me go around weekdays. Occasionally, I do stay the night until I'm with me.
This deal with Dave and these other people, was that anything that was mentioned beforehand, or why did they just all of a sudden show up at your neighbor's house, want you to buy weed? So was that a one-time thing, or is that something
But
that
they came out there before to play football, and we're good friends with them. They're not the best people to be friends with, but
has he ever mentioned what you to buy marijuana from you before?
Tyler did. Yes, sir, he has. And I told him, I was like, I can't. I guess he just wants me to buy. I was like, I told him, the day of our field trip, we had a field trip last Friday. I told him, he's like, do you have any money? I was like, I got the money I've just earned, but I can't spend it. And I still got it all at the house. And he's like, why not? I was like, I want to save up for some new weights. And he said,
So it was Tyler that was doing all the asking and not David?
no, not David.
Did David ever ask?
David told me, he said he didn't know what was going on.
Okay.
And I was like,
Had he ever approached Aaron before?
Tyler? No, sir. They used to go to school together. he treated ours. That's why I don't think he would have even, the Callahans restricted areas from in that house. They said, we don't want you in the road. We don't want you going through the sheds when we're not home. We don't even want you over there when we're not home. That was the rules. Especially stay out of the bedrooms.
Well, see, that's why it's not kind of making any sense. I mean, your first thought when you hear about Alana is, God, I hope Aaron, and then you said he's been known to plunder. You said he's had anger, and you know they've got guns over there at the Callahans. I mean, it's just
every time Aaron gets in trouble, he blames it on a black person. He says, oh, they were black and they were black too. Every time he gets in trouble, he tries to hide something. That's what he said. And when I heard my mom tell me that,
Brittany, did you hear that last statement that
Excuse me, that you made on the recording?
Yes, ma'am.
The point of impeachment.
Madam DA?
That's fine, if we could just approach it.
Okay. I would agree. Yes, ma'am.
you have to put him together piece by piece.
okay. Let me ask you this straight out. Do you know about Aaron having that pistol?
No, sir.
Because, I mean, you're just kind of saying a whole lot of stuff right here kind of on the side that maybe think that maybe you might. And I'm not saying that you're lying, but I want you to understand. I mean, whatever you say is it's not any worse than what it already is. I'm trying to find out. You said he's a puzzle. We're trying to put it together. You're a piece of that puzzle. But I want you to understand, too, I mean, if you know something, we need to know that. I mean,
I understand where both of y'all coming from, but no, sir, I do not know about no gun.
okay.
I take guns very serious. I take my weapons very serious.
So then why the concern for Aaron?
Because Aaron is, my dad said that Aaron was end up doing something bad like this one day. Everybody felt like he was going to do something
Did he
bad.
ever say anything to you about doing it?
Aaron has not been mean to nobody. He ain't been doing nothing to set me off.
But your first thought when you heard it was, God, I hope Aaron.
Because Aaron's the first one there and last one sitting.
I mean, at the time when you first heard about it, how did you know that? Yeah, I mean, how did you know that?
Because the way my mom put it, that's what set it off. I was just praying to God because
Let me ask you something.
Because at first I didn't know nothing about no gunshot. They said she was beaten, and that's what scared me. When I said, oh, I hope, when I prayed to God, I said, Aaron did do it.
Yeah, but when I asked you, you said, because I know that the Callahans, I know he likes to plunder, and I know the Callahans have guns. But that's what you said.
Yes, sir.
If you're thinking about beating, why would you be concerned about Aaron and his temper and him plundering and them having guns over there?
Well, you were asking me that.
No, I asked you why you thought, oh God, Aaron, and that was your first statement was because I know that Aaron got a temper and he likes to plunder, and I know the Callahans have guns.
Yes.
Okay, that was your first thing you said. Okay, and then now you're saying that you first thought she was beaten. That's why you thought, oh God, Aaron. But kind of doing a little double talk there. I just want to make sure I'm clear.
Yes, you're clear.
Why, when I asked you the first time, why did you think, oh God, Aaron, I hope he didn't? And then you said, because he's got a temper, he likes to plunder, and I know the Callahans have guns. Well, first of all, how did you know the Callahans have guns if you don't go down there?
Because when I did go there, the I said he's gonna fight him. He's gonna fight him.
He said I was going to get blood. Well,
Yeah, he's gonna kick butt. Yeah.
I mean, what were his words?
His words was, I'm gonna kick his ass. That's his exact words, sir. He didn't mention no weapons. He didn't say he's gonna stab him, kill him, beat him down with a stick. He ain't mentioned nothing like that.
Did you ever say anything about him?
No. Nothing about that family. Even if I were to say something about that family, he would get mad at me. He was like obsessed with it. He loved that family, I guess. Because I guess he felt rejection from a lot of people. And that's the only family that never rejected him. Even though they knew about his past. I guess that's what his flesh did.
He seemed like he was unusually upset this weekend.
You know what I'm saying? He did have a hurt ankle. He kept complaining, but my mama gave him medicine for that. His ankle was pretty badly swollen. Because back in last March, we were playing off creek, and he fell off a log, and when we were walking on this log, and we had these big old boulders, and when he fell off, he jumped and bent his ankle or something. He's been complaining about it here recently, saying he re-hurt it.
Can't say how he hurt it or anything.
He said he was running. That's what he told me. He was running. I thought he sprained it. Oh, it hurt so bad. Me and Andy heard about that all night. His ankle was hurt. He didn't even want to walk.
Did he ever tell you about why he couldn't go back down to the Callahan's?
I didn't know he was not allowed, except for being on restriction for 2 weeks from playing Ding Dong Ditch in our neighborhood.
So the Ding Dong Ditch was in your neighborhood?
My neighborhood, right here in Hartman.
Okay. And you said your mom or your dad put it on restriction?
Daddy did, yes, sir.
So your nanny didn't?
No, but Annie agreed with it. And I got put on restriction this as well. Not allowed to go to no friend's houses, nothing for 2 weeks.
Anything else you think of we might need to know?
Is he okay? I know he doesn't watch home. Is he okay? And my best friend.
Well, it's hard. They're not letting that will get hurt. They're not letting anything hurt him. Biggest thing about it is, and I'll kind of end with this, Sheldon in here, these people that are making these comments and stuff like that, she needs to know about stuff like that. She can let Mr. Lever know, Mr. Lever let us know, we'll take care of that. As far as just people running their mouth about you, whatever, that's not right. We don't want that happening, and we don't want you.
Yesterday in Mr. Ryan's class, Vernon Wilson said, I know he's your cousin, but he deserves to be shot in the back of the head too.
Well,
And it made me so mad when I just walked away.
you got to be a bigger person. That it takes a
They
bigger
have
person.
their opinion, and I've got mine.
Yep. If it becomes a problem, let Michelle know. She'll get it to us, and we'll try to take care of it as much as we can. Okay? Anything else you can think of? I'm going to go ahead and end the interview in the St. People Prisoners Meeting. Again, the time is about 1 o'clock.
Mr. Pittman, you acknowledged that you did, in fact, admit to investigators Jones and Evans that when the defendant gets in trouble, or when he did get in trouble in the past, he would frequently blame it on a black individual dressed in all black clothing.
Objection, Your Honor, leading.
Your Honor,
I'll permit the question.
Yes, ma'am. I said that.
Okay. When you refer to nanny, who is nanny?
Diana Chitty.
And so the weekend leading up to this incident, did the defendant ever mention anything about Alana to you?
No, ma'am.
What about the Callahan family in general?
No, ma'am.
Did he indicate to you if he was upset or mad about anything?
No, ma'am.
And which guns specifically were kept at your nanny's home?
222s and my shotgun, and my 30-30.
And who lived with your nanny?
My Uncle Bubba, and I don't remember if they had a patient at the time, but I don't think they did.
Okay, what about, where did the defendant live?
With my nanny.
Okay, and do you know what road that was?
Miles Road.
Okay, just one second. Your Honor, I have no questions of this witness, Ms. Duncar.
Ms. Dunkar?
Thank you, Your Honor. Hi, Tommy. Could you just briefly explain what you meant? You heard in the recording that you had said that Aaron was mischievous and liked to plunder. Could you just explain a little bit what you meant by that?
Like, he just liked to look around, you know what I mean? He just liked to look around.
Okay. But you didn't mean that he was violent?
Oh, no.
Okay. And you also stated that everybody knew Aaron was going to do this one day. Is that right? You stated that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And that was because since Aaron had lived with your nanny since he was 5, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Objection, Your Honor. This is speculation. This is different than leading.
Overruled.
You've lived with your nanny since you were, Aaron has lived with your nanny since he was 5.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And in that time, you have spent a great deal of time over at your nanny's house.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Correct? And playing with Aaron, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And in that time, you've had the occasion to observe Aaron's reactions, emotional reactions.
Towards, like...
Everything. Different reactions.
Yeah, he had his different reactions, but the side I mainly seen was, let's go play in the yard. I mean, I didn't ever see any violence or physical altercations or anything.
Okay. And did you ever see him react when he was upset about something? Did you ever see him do something that you hadn't seen other people do?
Like when we was little, and he'd get in trouble, he'd go hide and just like curl up, and he'd just get mad, and I mean, he grew out of it. I don't know, but that was when we was little.
Okay. And you stated that also on the tape that he was very sensitive to rejection.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
And you stated that was because of his past.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. No further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Thank you. Madam DA?
Your Honor, I have no further questions of this witness.
You can sit down, sir. Thank you, Ms. Pittman.